Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, welcome to the channel. We're going to be looking at UFC 306, UFC Noche, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. We're going to be recapping the whole entire fight card and all of the fight card's best moments. Now, with this card, I will say on paper, I was not too optimistic. We had a very short card, 10 fights on it, and we didn't have the greatest of names through the card, but with the performances that were put on, I am not disappointed at all. I mean, we had Diego Lopes showing that he is pretty much going to be the new superstar of the UFC. We had Valentina Shevchenko absolutely dominating Alexa Grasso and showing that she is the true champion of the flyweight division. And of course, we had Merab Dvalishvili completely shutting down the Sugar Show. So let's kick it off with the first fight of Raul Rosas Jr. versus Aoriqileng. So I'm going to say with this, I don't think that this was the greatest fight, to be honest. I'll probably say that this was the weakest of the whole entire card. And considering the shit talking that was on the Osbourne card, I think I'm happy with the position that this was in. I think that this should have been the first fight of the card, to be honest. And I did have Aoriqileng in the predictions. Now, Raul Rosas Jr., I did say if he was able to get Aoriqileng to the ground, then Rosas Jr. would be taking this fight, which Rosas Jr. did to an extent, 7 minutes of control time, but he wasn't really threatening with it. There wasn't really any submission attempts or anything like that. Aoriqileng, he was doing pretty well on the feet. He was, obviously the lengthier fighter. He was landing some good shots, some good straight shots through the second round. But Raul Rosas Jr. was doing a very good job, especially through the first round, of mixing up his shots. He was using a lot more leg kicks, the body shots as well, just mixing up his striking altogether and showing a very well-rounded game. And the issue is with Aoriqileng, he just didn't trust in himself. If he got taken down, he could get back up. He was able to get back up as well, and he stuffed over half of Raul Rosas' takedown attempts. So it's more to the fact that, he needed to trust himself more, really stick to that striking, let his hands go more as well, because he was just so tentative because he was scared of Raul Rosas Jr.'s takedowns and obviously getting to the ground and possibly being submitted. But Aoriqileng just didn't show any urgency towards the third round. He got taken down, pretty much just sat in full guard, didn't really let Rosas Jr. try and pass that much, but then he was doing nothing to get himself back up. So I think it was 1-1 going into the third round, which the judges do reflect as well, which I was surprised wasn't a, complete 30-27 or even a 30-26 randomly, because it's just Raul Rosas Jr. and it's a Mexican bloody crowd. But, the judges were fair. I will say it's a 29-28. Raul Rosas Jr. definitely deserved the win, but it's the odds. Raul Rosas Jr. being like a 7-1 favorite, that's expectations of a finish. Aoriqileng getting a 29, winning a round over him should have cut those odds down completely, and Aoriqileng having that experience, being good with the striking, having the KO threat as well. That's where I think those odds should have been closed down a bit more. But in all fairness, Raul Rosas Jr., he did get it done at the end of the day. And obviously he's gone to 4-1 in the UFC now, so it's just boosting his morale, boosting his confidence. So it's going to be interesting to see him moving forward. Now, getting a decision win, he's not getting the 50K from Dana White, obviously, which he didn't, which was completely fair. But he is naturally getting bigger over time, so it's going to be interesting to see if he actually does stay at bantamweight for much longer. I'd probably say, maybe because he's only 19, maybe 3 to 4 years at most, and then I think we might see him at featherweight. But overall, Aoriqileng could have done more, and honestly, I still do believe he could have got the win if he really started to be the aggressor. But kudos to Raul Rosas Jr. for getting that win and, being the first winner in this sphere. Moving up the card, Edgar Chairez versus Josh Van. This was an absolutely amazing fight. This was insane. I mean, the first round, Chairez was honestly bullying Josh Van. It was, just chopping Van down with the leg kicks. He was timing his uppercuts very well as well. Just getting the better of the striking overall. And Josh Van was he was just really getting swarmed in that first round. And it really wasn't looking good. And going from that Charles Johnson loss to this and possibly losing this, and by that point it was looking like a KO finish for Chairez. could have sent Joshua Van spiraling. I said in the predictions that if Josh Van lost this, I mean, it could have really, dictated the trajectory of his whole entire career. So moving into the second round, this round was amazing. One of the best rounds that we have had, singular rounds we have had this year. Joshua Van just came back so strong. The body shots, chef's kiss, fantastic. Just ripping that left hook straight into the body, just absolutely brutalizing Edgar Chairez's ribs. And Chairez was feeling it badly. It's lucky Chairez has that Mexican chin, because leading into that, that halfway point of the fight, halfway through the second round, his head was just a bobblehead. It was just getting pieced up against the cage. And if Chairez didn't turn and get that beautiful spinning elbow, I think the ref would have called the fight, because he was just showing no intelligent way of defending himself at all. And it just looked like Joshua Van was just not slowing down, which... kudos to Van, because Van, I did not even realize, had absolutely no camp. Obviously, it was a short time period from him getting knocked out by Charles Johnson, of course, but he pretty much wasn't training at all, and his cardio was perfect. He said it in the post-fight press conference, like, I'm a bit concerned about my cardio. Like, I just feel like I didn't live up to expectations. He put on basically fight of the night. He definitely lived up to expectations, and he came back in honestly probably the best way possible, going through adversity, getting away from the very close submission attempt that Chairez had, getting through the adversity of the first round as well, and obviously surviving too. I mean, Chairez's spinning elbow was clean as anything. Van was out on his feet. Chairez went straight forward. He probably could have got him out of there straight off the bat, but... there's no doubt they were both exhausted by that second round. I mean, especially Chairez, because all the oxygen was taken out of him from the body shots. But yeah, Joshua Van was just a fresher fighter overall. He looked fantastic. Coming back from that brutal KO loss from Charles Johnson, an absolutely amazing performance that has just really put all of the stock back on him. And with a performance like that, I'm honestly on the hype train of Josh Van now. I really hope that he is getting close to that top 15 position now. Seriously, with boxing like that, it's just one of the most crisp boxing just skill sets, just his technical capabilities when he boxes. It's definitely one of the cleanest in that division. And yeah, kudos to Edgar Chairez for not getting knocked out as well, going from the second through to the third round. Yeah, overall fantastic fight without a doubt. And honestly, in my opinion, probably fight of the night, along with obviously Zellhuber and Ribovics, both of them neck and neck for me personally. I just think that this was single-handedly probably the best round within the fight. Obviously, the third round was insane with the Zellhuber's fight, but I feel like just the adversity that Josh Van faced in that first round to really come back, I think that's what really highlighted this one. So amazing performance by Josh Van and amazing durability from Edgar Chairez. Moving up the card, Yazmin Jauregui versus Ketlen Souza. Holy shit. Ketlen Souza has just revived herself just like Josh Van. That finish was brutal. Absolutely insane. The power difference there was so evident. Jauregui was obviously landing the better shots, as you can see on the screen, but Ketlen Souza, the power there, and the chin of Jauregui, like, she's just got the fake Mexican chin. Souza just knocked her clean down. I'm surprised didn't absolutely finish her, because yeah, she just folded, completely folded. Jauregui had nothing there, and honestly, it's strange as a Mexican that her chin isn't just, it doesn't sustain. But yeah, best brutal finish of the night. Just absolutely best finish. Ketlen Souza just really looked confident, came forward. Even with Jauregui landing better combinations overall, Souza was just drilling straight through them. Jauregui was really just like standing toe to toe, which I did say in the predictions, if one of them has more power and they're going through the exchanges, I'm preferring Souza in that, because Jauregui is just so much better at point fighting, circling out. She's just a more crisp and clean striker. But when you're not, actioning that game plan and you're, playing into the power fighter's game, well, that's what happens. Ketlen Souza obviously knocked her straight down, transitioned beautifully to the rear naked choke, to the back, got the rear naked choke, and Jauregui was out cold. Absolutely amazing finish from Ketlen Souza, and yeah, honestly, finish of the night. Now, moving on to my favorite fight of the night, Manuel Torres versus Ignacio Bahamondes. This was the fight that I did say in the predictions to look out for. Ignacio Bahamondes is a killer. He had absolutely no fear of Manuel Torres' power at all. He was the one that was forward pressuring the most, and he honestly, just the straight strikes crippled Torres. Like I said this in the predictions, Manuel Torres, he has very, very wide looping hooks, and he just doesn't have any strike defense for those straight strikes. And he hasn't fought someone that is as long and is as powerful and is as aggressive as Ignacio Bahamondes altogether. And Bahamondes used it all together. You know, as Manuel Torres was coming in for the exchange, Bahamondes straight down the pipe, got Torres the timing perfect, because Torres overextends when he, throws those power hooks, completely made himself go side on, and then Bahamondes straight on the side of the chin, just folded him like a fucking lawn chair, and then somehow Torres, Mexico, he gets back up. He somehow gets back up, but the same thing happens again. If Manuel Torres isn't defending himself before getting folded like a lawn chair and then getting back up, he's not going to be coherent enough to really, properly defend again. And that's exactly what happened. Bahamondes wasted no time. Another straight down the pipe. Just took him out, like absolutely folded him. And you knew when Manuel Torres started to shell up, it was done. It was good from the ref. Like if that was going any longer, Torres was going to be out cold. Bahamondes, serious issue in that lightweight division. I'm saying it now. Write it down, stick it on your fridge. Trust me, this guy is a killer. He is going to be very good. He's got the same frame as a Joel Alvarez and a Jalen Turner. And this guy he's filled out. He's got the power. He's aggressive. He's got a chin as well. He's got attributes that a lot of fighters in the lightweight division have never dealt with before. When he puts all those skills together, like he's just done against a killer like Manuel Torres, just absolutely annihilated him. Now, I thought in the predictions, I did think that Bahamondes would get the KO TKO, but I would have thought it would have been a bit later, because I obviously thought that Ignacio would use the range, use the straight strikes, obviously rely a bit on his durability, and kind of let Torres just fade out through that first half of the fight, to then let Ignacio obviously get through to the second half of the second round and the third round and really start piecing Torres up. So I thought I was going to get the third round KO TKO there, but Bahamondes just wasted absolutely no time. An absolutely fantastic performance from him. Brutal KO finish. I would love to see this guy get a top 15 fight, and it's kind of hard to argue with that after this performance. And moving on to the feature prelim, Irene Aldana versus Norma Dumont. So, before we get into the obvious elephant in the room, the damage, let's look at the fight stylistically. Aldana, I did have her in my predictions, which I am definitely regretting. Aldana, she could not find her range. Like, that is her biggest issue. She had the exact same issue against Amanda Nunes. She could not find her range for the whole entire 25 minutes in that one, and in the whole entire 15 minutes of this one, she could not find it. She was chasing Norma Dumont the whole entire time. She was not finding her range, and she just wouldn't let her hands go. And when she did, she was completely out of range because Norma Dumont was completely off to the side of her. So she was pretty much just gassing herself, just wasting energy on those big winging shots that were hitting just nothing but air. And that just led further into the fight of Norma Dumont getting more and more comfortable throughout, each round. Each round that went on, Norma Dumont was just piecing Aldana up. And that's a huge issue, not just in terms of Irene Aldana, but the whole entire bantamweight division, because Norma Dumont has just really thrown a spanner in the works of showing that she has so much more of a well-rounded game. She's known for her wrestling, her jiu-jitsu capabilities. She's just, very much so like a grinder style fighter. She's got most of her wins by decision. And that's just straight down to that style. She just loves, you know, the clinch, getting people against the cage, grinding them out, getting them on the ground, and just, you know, suffocating them. She had 0 minutes and seconds of control time in this fight because all she did was piece Aldana, a Lobo gym boxer, up for 3 rounds straight. She looked fantastic with the jab, was switching stances constantly, which was, you know, allowing her to land the jab perfectly every single time. And then also she was just piecing her up to the body. She was just mixing up her shots very well. Made Aldana's leg look like a balloon as well. The leg kicks were there. Her striking looked 17 times better than it ever has. And the damage was obviously proof of that. Irene Aldana's face was a complete mess. Probably the worst cut I've ever seen. Literally split from the top of her forehead all the way down through the middle part, like through the middle to then the inside part of her eye to her eyebrow. The whole thing was just gashed open. And she had cut on her nose. She had cut along the side of her eyebrow as well. She was a complete mess. If that went any longer, it would have been stopped anyway. Like, there's no way it would have kept going. I'm surprised I didn't call it anyway. But yeah, that's just an absolute statement for Norma Dumont. She is looking fantastic, and she could challenge Pena. She can challenge Kayla Harrison. Definitely could beat Raquel Pennington. Like, she is, yeah, definitely a title contender without a doubt. And I think the division's got to be thankful for Norma Dumont, because that division needs as much depth as it can possibly bloody get. And yeah, she is a fantastic, entertaining addition to it if she continues to show that striking showcase, because it was perfect in this fight. Now, moving on to the main card, we are looking at Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Ode Osbourne. So, there's a fair bit to talk about with this fight. Now, everyone was loathing, including myself, loathing this fight being on the main card. You know, for obvious reasons, a no-name flyweight in Ronaldo Rodriguez with Ode Osbourne, who's been a 50-50 kind of fighter in his UFC career, getting a main card slot on arguably what was supposed to be bigger than UFC 300. Disclaimer, it was a great card, was not as big as UFC 300. And look, I will say, on paper, shouldn't have been. Performance-wise, should have been. Definitely happy with this being on the main card, considering how these guys showed out. Now, when we look at the performance, Ode Osbourne in that first round, fantastic. Almost took Rodriguez's head off, and then obviously almost got the triangle submission. He was very aggressive, 100% his round. Then Ronaldo Rodriguez in the second round, I'll say he won. Don't get me wrong, you know, 9 minutes and 14 seconds of control time, very good. And, you know, he did land more total strikes. Ode Osbourne outlanded him on significant strikes, though. Rodriguez was doing a good job of controlling Osbourne, you know, landing some decent ground and pound in that round. And then the third round, I'll say, was fairly close. You could argue it could have gone to Rodriguez, argue it could have gone to Osbourne. But the issue I have is the judges. How do you give Ronaldo Rodriguez a 10-8 round? 2 judges gave Ronaldo Rodriguez a 10-8 in the second round. Now, if you're going to give him a 10-8 round in the second round, where's Ode Osbourne's 10-8 round in the first round? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. Ode Osbourne is the only one that landed a knockdown. He's the only one that got a knockdown in this fight, which wasn't like just fall on the knees or anything like that, you know, drop to the ground, just, you know, slight fall on the ass. He almost took Rodriguez's head off and then almost choked him out in the one round. Rodriguez does not knock him down, gets in an advantageous position, takes Osbourne's back, and lands some decent elbows, don't get me wrong. Doesn't cut him, doesn't cut Osbourne, anything like that. There's no visible proper damage. Ode Osbourne in the first round knocks him flat on his ass, gets him in a triangle choke, cuts him up, makes him bleed. 10-9. It's just a 10-9. Like, how are you giving Ode Osbourne a 10-9 in the first round when he does all that, and Ronaldo Rodriguez a 10-8 in the second round when he doesn't do near as much? That's what I'm not happy with. Now, I can understand at the end of the day, Rodriguez could have won. That's fair enough. He could have got the 29-28. You know, obviously it doesn't change the result, so I'm not going to be super hung up on it, but that's where it's just a bit of an issue in terms of just that unfair point of view. You know, Osbourne puts in all that work, doesn't even get recognized for a 10-8. Ronaldo Rodriguez doesn't do as much and gets a 10-8. You know, that is bias staring you straight in the fucking face. That is the issue. And, you know, 10-8 ruling is a load of shit. There's so many circumstances where there have been issues in terms of what is ruled a 10-8 and what is not. You look at Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman in the first round. That was a 10-8, apparently. Then you look at Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira in their first round. Jan, that's just a 10-9. They did pretty much the exact same thing. Except I'm pretty sure Jan got more control time than Chimaev did. You know, I'm reading a lot into it, but they're the examples there that are pretty evident, and this is one of them. Might not have changed the result, but it's, you know, it's something that does need to change in the future. Now, obviously Rodriguez moving forward, you know, there's going to be matchups for him, but he needs to work on his strike defense so badly. He is going to get chinned by someone, without a doubt. He is not living up to the hype. I don't believe it at all. He's entertaining, don't get me wrong, but he will get chinned 100%. Ode Osbourne, I think, looked fantastic. He was really just, you know, underrated, just flew under the radar. Everyone counted him out. I thought he would win this fight. There's argument that he could have, to be honest. There was an argument for 29-28 for Osbourne, taking the first and the third rounds, without a doubt, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, Ode Osbourne, you know, I think with a performance like that, showing how well he did perform and how dangerous he can be, whether it's the feet or on the ground, there's going to be good, exciting matchups for him, 100%. Now, yeah, overall, I will say, with the bullshit kind of judging aside, for the two of them, credit, because I do think at the end of the day, this did belong on the main card. Now, moving up the card, Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics. My God, this was incredible. This fight was absolutely insane. I had Daniel Zellhuber getting a decision win here, which split decision. It was extremely close. I have no, you know, worry, or I'm not pissed off about it at all. Esteban Ribovics, extremely dangerous. Either of these guys, honestly, either way it went from the split decision, deserved either way. Because just the complete, like, volume of both of these guys, they really lived up to their significant strikes landed. You know, their statistics of Zellhuber landing about 5.5 to Ribovics landing over 6. They pretty much did that anyway. They're just very, very, very high output fighters. Zellhuber, I would say, was doing a very, very good job early. You know, just the reach difference was really coming in clutch, that 8-inch reach advantage. He was really flinging those straight strikes very well. Ribovics, absolute chin on this guy. Ridiculous. He is the reborn Ponzinibbio, like prime Ponzinibbio, coming from tough days, like without a doubt. He is just Argentina's spearhead for sure. And look, honestly, you look at the first, you look at the second round, you know, I'll say Zellhuber definitely won the first. Pretty arguable between the two of them for the second round. The third round, holy shit. What the hell was that? Zellhuber knocks Ribovics down badly. Ribovics gets back up and puts Zellhuber on skates. Zellhuber did a fantastic job of, constantly moving his upper body to make sure that, Ribovics wasn't getting his shots on target completely. And the fact that Zellhuber had the gas tank to completely move like that consistently was so impressive, especially after getting hurt so badly. And I can see, in the judges' eyes of, Zellhuber obviously got the knockdown, but if you're getting wobbled to that extent after getting knocked down, so if you're getting knocked down, then getting back up and then wobbling the opponent that badly after they've knocked you down, just that comeback effort from Ribovics, I think, is
to be honest, probably enough to sway this, even though, you know, knockdown 1 to knockdown 0. I think it's pretty fair in Ribovic's favor. Just the entertainment factor from both of these guys, both young as well. Like, Mexico and South America 100% are in safe hands if these guys are performing like this, without a doubt. None of them got finished, which is fucking ridiculous. And yeah, honestly, I'll say Zellhuber defensively was actually very good, you know, leading through the first and second round. Esteban likes to use the 1-2 like head kick a lot, and similar to like Robert Whittaker, he uses that 1-2 head kick. Ribovics, you know, was using it a lot, but Zellhuber was just, you know, had that read on that follow-up kick a lot. I mean, obviously after what we saw happen to Terrence McKinney, you'd probably want to be studying that. And yeah, ultimately I'll say Zellhuber, very good performance, very consistent through the first and second round. Ribovics, I'd say, swayed the second and, you know, just brought that dog out of him in the third to get that win, which was completely fair. Without a doubt, this was definitely fight of the night. Moving up the card, Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes. I mean, Diego Lopes, absolutely fantastic performance. Striking was just looking crisp. Do we really need to say anything about the first round? I mean, that just speaks for itself. Ortega, Lopes get into the first exchange. Lopes just lands the cleanest two-piece combo, sends Brian Ortega flying, and then Lopes gets him to the ground. I gotta say, like, Lopes, 100%, without a doubt, 30-27 in this fight. But Ortega's chin is ridiculous. Like, I was confident, and I think you can say that too, he was going to be getting slept in that first round. The connection was just so clean, but Ortega off his back, defensively extremely sound, did not let Lopes get the finish. And as Dana said in the post-fight presser, it kind of was seeming like Lopes was wanting to get the submission on Ortega. He was really want to, you know, show that dominance in that area, which, to be fair, they're both 20-0 together. They're 20-0 with submissions. If one of them got submitted, it just would have, like, the roof would have blown off the place, or the sphere would have blown off the place, whatever you call it. But yeah, Diego Lopes, seriously, like, the guy is a superstar. Like, he is pushing through the rankings. He's got a very much like a Sean O'Malley effect. You know, if you treat Brian Ortega like Petr Yan, he's just pushing, like, really jumping up. I wouldn't even be surprised if he gets a title shot next, which he was screaming at Dana White for, which with these performances, you can't really blame him. He's been a company man, you know, especially with what happened at UFC 303, with him having to, you know, change his weight so many different times and everything and fight Dan Ige. He just really showed out. You know, he was... Honestly, Mexico had an extremely poor showing on this card, but Diego Lopes, a B-Tech Mexican, he really showed out for them. Like, yeah, he was the spearhead. He looked fantastic in terms of being on top. He looked fantastic on the feet. He made Ortega look very uncomfortable on the feet. I will not lie. Ortega was way too scared to cut off that 3 inches of reach advantage that Lopes had. That 3 inches of reach that Lopes had on Ortega was so evident because Ortega was just not pressing. He wasn't pressing, and obviously after getting knocked down like that in the first round, it's kind of not surprising. And I will say Lopes was even stronger than Ortega, realistically. It kind of looked like a changing of the guard in a sense. Ortega, very defensively sound off his back, don't get me wrong. Like, very good on the ground. Wasn't really worried about him there. But yeah, on the feet, he just did not look comfortable whatsoever. And he, as I said in the predictions, I think he needed to utilize a very heavy wrestling offensive game. Literally like Valentina Shevchenko did against Alexa Grasso in the next fight that we'll talk about. I think if Ortega really utilized that, you know, trust in himself within Lopes's guard to not get submitted. Ortega is so defensively sound there. I think if he trusted in himself there and just really try and get this fight out of control time, I think that was, not gonna lie, that was probably his real only option, to be honest. I do think, I thought he would, honestly, Ortega, I would have thought would have had a bit better striking combinations in comparison to Diego Lopes, which I still think Ortega does, but I think Diego Lopes, just with his speed, it just completely cuts it out. Lopes is just way too fast. Ortega just really needed to utilize a heavier wrestling offensive game, and he possibly could have got somewhere if he did that straight off the jump. But obviously game plans, you can't change anything. And yeah, Diego Lopes, possible title shot, maybe. I think he needs a title eliminator. Possibly the loser of Aljo and Evloev could be somewhere around there. We could even see a Volk fight, or even if it lines up, we could see the loser of Holloway and Ilya. He's got options there. You know, he's up there, fan favorite. Everyone wants him there. And with this performance, completely understandable. And moving up to the co-main event, Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. Thank you, Shevchenko, for finally getting me another perfect prediction. I honestly just really had that kind of feeling that Shevchenko, being that dominant champion, having the chip on her shoulder from the last fight, which was a draw, which she won. I honestly think she had that 48-47. And, you know, even going back in time to seeing when she got screwed over in the second Amanda Nunes fight, fights like these, Shevchenko is, yeah, I think she's just raring to go. She just had more motivation. Alexa Grasso, she just looked flat. She wasn't really getting her shots off. I mean, you look at the shots, 153 to 18, 153 total strikes to 18 significant strikes. That's just a complete tell that Alexa Grasso was not comfortable on the feet at range with her boxing. She was obviously getting some shots off when it came to the ground game, you know, the clinch and whatnot, but that's obviously due to Valentina Shevchenko. 16 minutes of control time. Shevchenko utilized a perfect game plan, cutting out Alexa Grasso's best momentum shifter, which is her boxing combinations. And Shevchenko was just doing a great job of mixing everything up very well. You know, just really going to the head, just targeting Grasso's head, but then switching completely to a double leg takedown, but only like half going into it. She would kind of fake her double leg takedown, let Alexa Grasso fully sprawl, and then she would get on top of her and completely out transition her and get Grasso on her back. That's where Valentina Shevchenko was just running circles around Grasso. Grasso, got to admit, she did have Valentina Shevchenko in some interesting situations. You know, there was a guillotine there was a triangle, inverted triangle there as well. An inverted triangle plus a Kimura at the same time, which I don't know how she really would have positioned herself to get that done, but still, it shows that Grasso was really, you know, dangerous off her back, but Shevchenko adjusted accordingly, and by the time she got that signature crucifix position, yeah, I was getting a lot more confident that Shevchenko was just going to run away with it. And honestly, I'll say 50-45, clean sweep was completely fair. It does suck for Alexa Grasso. You know, it's a pretty hard loss to take, being, you know, Noche UFC and having all the Mexicans there. She was literally the headliner for them. And she obviously got absolutely done out. That just shows Shevchenko's caliber. You know, even at 36 years old, she's broken that curse. She is a absolute savage. You know, she's very good. I want to see her versus Manon Ferro next. That's what we're getting next. That will be an absolutely insane fight. So credit to Shevchenko. Thank you for getting me a little bit more credibility.
And moving on to the main event, Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. Now, between the co-main and the main event, obviously Dana wasn't too happy in the post-fight press conference because he expected obviously a lot more, you know, output from all four of them when it came to these fights. I would say they weren't bad. You know, Shevchenko especially, she definitely just, you know, she did what she needed to do. She positioned the fight where she needed it to go, especially stylistically with Alexa's boxing. But when we look at Sean O'Malley versus Merab, now this was a fascinating fight because we had a lot of things that kind of like, you know, semi-switch momentum here and everything like that here and there, which I'm not making excuses. I had Sean O'Malley. I had him KOing Merab, honestly, in the first round, and Merab did a fantastic job. He got it done. I will say that it probably was a 48-47. I don't think I would disagree with that too much. Honestly, if anything, I'd probably say it could have been a 49-46 to Merab, to be honest. Just depends on damage and how you outline it from the second to the third round. With O'Malley, you know, getting damage from the bottom, he cut Merab open, but then Merab had a lot of control time. So, you know, it weighs up there, but
at the end of the day, it wouldn't have mattered because Merab won, played a perfect game plan realistically. You know, he was swaying between forward pressure and coming backwards. He wasn't making the same mistake as Aljo and just fully forward pressuring and overextending, because someone like Merab, who's that short, doing it against someone that's that long and accurate against O'Malley, that was just a recipe for getting absolutely chinned. So he did a great job of making sure that he timed his takedowns perfectly. The way he timed those takedowns, the ones that obviously he secured, double-legged O'Malley completely off his feet in the middle of the cage as well. And yeah, O'Malley obviously was doing a good job of, you know, skirting back, getting to the cage, but the time was dropping down. And the issue is O'Malley on the feet, too tentative, way too tentative, was not aggressive enough. Even if the takedown threat was coming, O'Malley needed to be more offensive, because Merab, at the end of the day, yes, he might take you down, but is he going to finish you on the ground? Look at his finish record compared to his decisions. You know, like, especially against a guy like Sean O'Malley, who's got a chin, very good chin, can defend himself well, you know, was able to out transition and, you know, Granby roll out of the positions that Petr Yan had him in on the ground. And Sean O'Malley was, you know, he had the great camp. Well, allegedly. He had a great camp. His cardio was supposed to be there. It was supposed to be proper and prime, which I don't think he really gassed, to be honest. Maybe around the 5th, to be honest. I think he was probably gassing a little bit, but Merab just played the perfect game plan. Sean O'Malley just did not get his shots off. He did not get his combinations going. He needed to just flip and stick the jab more and more and more. He needed to just land just more volume overall to keep Merab guessing, because it's kind of like Leon versus Bilal moving to the end of their fight. Leon was just looking for that, you know, that Hail Mary shot, because he was just getting dragged out round after round after round. And that's what O'Malley was slowly doing. He was slowly getting to that point where he needed to wing that shot to take Merab out. And Merab, he wasn't getting into those positions where Sean O'Malley was able to do it. O'Malley landed the best shot of the fight, without a doubt. 5th round, you know, teep straight to the body, and it hurt Merab. Without a doubt, it hurt him. O'Malley just didn't show a lot of urgency to get there. Was not light on his feet at all. I think that's the worst part about O'Malley in this fight. His feet were like stapled to the ground. He just was not, you know, free-flowing, moving at all. Nowhere near like he usually does, literally in any of his fights. He was just very sluggish, very slow, and Merab took full advantage of it. Slow opponent against a guy that can get takedown entries that quick and it can just run all over you like a Tasmanian devil. Merab's the guy to do it, and he did it. You know, he showed a fantastic performance. He got that win, and I think it was fair. And I think the best part from, obviously, O'Malley was the front kick, the teep kick to the liver, but I think the best part from Merab was definitely getting that 3-quarter Nelson, I believe it was a 3-quarter Nelson, on Sean O'Malley against the cage. So when O'Malley was putting his hand down, obviously he was safe from the knees, but when he tried to get back up, like when he put his hand off and tried to get back up, Merab had the Nelson in to then just leverage his head back down to put it straight in the way of his knees, and Merab was landing a lot of good knees to Sean's head, and that's where I think those rounds were just swaying even further away. And yeah, Merab just didn't show any lack of confidence. Definitely counted out, I think. And I will say, him versus Umar is going to be extremely interesting. Obviously, he doesn't have the finishing threat, but can Umar deal with that much pressure? That's what's going to be very fascinating to see, and it's going to be interesting to see as well how long the championship tenure of Merab is going to be. Now, moving on to the Fight Card Awards, kicking it off with Fighter to Watch, we are going with Ignacio Bahamondes. Obviously, in his matchup analysis, I pretty much said everything. He is a killer. This guy, 6'3", 75.5-inch reach, out lightweight, you know, forward pressure, good straight strikes, good boxing, insane kicks, KO power clearly. Whether it comes to hands or kicks or anything, this guy is a problem. Very durable as well. Someone is going to have to wrestle fuck this guy, because he is very, very dangerous on the feet. The only guy that's ever been able to get anything, you know, out of him is Ludovic Klein, who mixed up his game extremely well. And so it's gonna take that to beat him. I think Ignacio Bahamondes, being, you know, in his mid-20s, he is on his way to getting into the top 15, and I am very keen for it. I am here for it. I am on the Bahamondes hype train for sure. And look, he's not only doing that, he's not only getting up there, you know, in terms of just himself, in terms of, you know, his skill sets, him being literally the only Chilean fighter. You know, he's spearheading his country. He's got his younger brother who is 5-0 as a pro. He is a title holder in his, you know, regional promotion as well, so he's most likely going to be coming through the Dana White's Contender Series too, so we're going to get more Chilean fighters, which is going to be fantastic. But yeah, for a guy like this to spearhead it, without a doubt, for seeing him, take my money. He, especially with performances against killers like Manuel Torres, taking them out in the first round, yeah, that confidence is going to boost him straight into his 30s. He is going to, honestly, I think he can be a title challenger. And moving on to finish of the night, we are giving it to Ketlen Souza. She is obviously one of the most underrated fighters on the card. You know, 5-1 underdog, strawweight division. No one was really taking notice, but she put people on notice. You know, the absolutely brutalized Jauregui showed that she has no chin and just choked her completely unconscious, left her body absolutely sagging like a bag of potatoes, as you can see on the screen. And Ketlen Souza, honestly, I mean, if she keeps those performances up, she's going to be one of the most underrated fighters in that division moving forward. She's got the power there, without a doubt. She just needs to, you know, make sure that she can really fight against fighters that are at range, find tools to use that fight against fighters that have a lot of movement, like, you know, Jauregui was supposed to use. And because if she gets into an exchange with people, she can do that. She can knock people out, which is pretty clear to say. And she's got a decent ground game, obviously, now. I mean, she hasn't had a good record, but I mean, the way she transitioned to that back was pretty impressive. So, I mean, there are things underlying for her that, you know, hopefully we'll be able to see unraveled in the future. But in this fight, being on the sphere, a fantastic finish to get this one done. Now, moving on to my top 3 most notable moments of the card. In third place, we are giving it to Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes, specifically the first round. Diego Lopes getting straight into that striking exchange, landing the beautiful 2-piece combination straight off the bat, dropping Ortega, and, you know, obviously taking him down as he's dropping. Don't know how Ortega survived. Like, that was insane. Like, he was pretty much asleep on his feet, and then obviously managed to recover, regain guard, got a nice up kick on Lopes as well. Did not let Lopes, you know, finish him at all. He was blocking very well. As you can see on the screen, there was just pummeling to the head. You know, Lopes just could not get it done. Obviously, he was probably going for the submission, but it's just really credit to Ortega in terms of just the durability and the willpower this guy has. But at the same time, it also shows how much of a threat Diego Lopes is moving forward. Now, moving on to second place, I am giving it to Joshua Van versus Edgar Chairez, the second round. Specifically, that second round, I have not been more amped for a singular round in quite a while. Like, this was just so back and forth, and just the, you know, facing that adversity and Joshua Van coming back, ripping the body of Edgar Chairez so badly to the point where he was just crippled, trying to hope shoot for takedowns. Chairez coming back after getting pummeled, spinning elbow, almost cleaning Joshua Van up, literally dead on his feet. Joshua Van managing to survive, getting Edgar Chairez to the ground, avoiding a guillotine choke. Like, what the hell? What else do I need to say? It's just, that's in like the space of 3 minutes. It was just incredible. Absolutely amazing performance, the durability of Chairez and just the heart of Joshua Van. Both of their stocks are going up, even though Edgar Chairez lost, his stock's going up. Joshua Van, without a doubt, is just getting all his stock and hopefully his momentum back going into his next fight. And moving on to the most notable moment of the card, I'm giving it to Zellhuber versus Ribovics, specifically in that third round. That third round, just absolutely insane. Ribovics coming in, you know, really trying to close the distance. Zellhuber just hitting him with the perfect elbow, sitting him on his ass, going to finish him. Ribovics survives. Ribovics comes forward, just absolutely pummels Zellhuber, you know, wobbles him, puts him on skates on the feet for, honestly, I swear to God, it felt like 30 minutes he was on skates for. In that third round, it was just ridiculous. He was running around, like, using fantastic head movement to get out of the way of, honestly, Esteban's most likely just fight-stopping shots, and managed to survive. You know, got to the end of the fight. And obviously Ribovics got it done, and that's where I think that adversity of overcoming, getting knocked down first, and just coming forward and just switching that momentum in the last half of that last round. Yeah, that honestly, this fight could borderline be Hall of Fame, to be honest. And I think this, along with just the, you know, the theatrics and everything of the Sphere, it honestly was just like a breath of fresh air, just in terms of the way, you know, they told the story, the way they highlighted each individual fight with the different fonts and the different layouts of everything as well. And I could imagine, you know, if you were there, like the haptic seats, you know, the feedback and everything, getting to feel everything, and, you know, the way they kind of interacted with the crowd in terms of, you know, like with the flowers getting shot out of the cannons when all like the flowers are coming down. I think they were flowers. Just really making it an immersive experience. And even honestly, even translating to TV, like watching it on the television, it honestly did not disappoint, in my opinion. I think it was a fantastic performance, and hopefully, even though they say they're not getting another one, I really hope we get another Sphere card eventually, just to really see if they can push the boundaries even more, to see if we can get something possibly even better, which I think with this card overall, it's going to be pretty hard to beat. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more MMA based content, definitely check out my mythical matchups video on Tony Ferguson versus Paul Felder back in 2018 to see who would have won. Go through a full fight analysis of that matchup if it were to happen. And thank you for all the support. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.